And then you mentioned you're with an executive with B&R Stores?
Correct.
And you were recently named one of the top female executives in the grocery business by Progressive Grocery, is that correct? And how does how are you going to tie that prestige and honor into this?
Well, it's truly a great honor to be recognized by my peers in the grocery industry, and my company nominated me based on my involvement in the community here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm a board of directors with the Lincoln Chamber of Commerce. I'm also on the Community Health Endowment Board of Trustees. I'm also very involved with the Nebraska Democratic Women's Caucus. And I'm going to put in a plug here for Janet Stewart, who is running for Secretary of State. Janet Stewart and also Krista Yoakum and Mary Harris, they get a tremendous amount of credit for revitalizing the Nebraska Democratic Women's Caucus. And one of the wonderful things that we have done is to sponsor a luncheon. We did this last year for the first time. It's called Inspiring Women Luncheon. And we did it in honor of Helen Bosalis. And many of you know Helen Bosalis as a former mayor and candidate for governor for the state of Nebraska. But she was really a political dynamo for the Democratic Party for more than 40 years. So our goal last year at the luncheon was to raise money to really give one scholarship to a promising young Democratic Nebraska woman, either in high school or college or law school or graduate studies. And we thought, okay, we'll raise some money. So last year we raised money, and then this year's luncheon, which is on Friday, August 27th at the Knolls at 11:30 a.m. So it's this Friday, August 27th at the Knolls, Inspiring Women Luncheon. We raised enough money, so instead of one scholarship, we're presenting 3 scholarships to really encourage and nurture young women, young Democratic women to get involved. And these women are involved in their community, they're involved in the party, and they're doing a lot of great things in their schools. And so I was so proud to be one of the people to read some of the essays, and some of these young women are just so inspirational in the things that they've done. So, I mean, those are the things I'm involved in, and I think that's probably why Progressive Grocer selected me, and these were from nominations all across the United States, and from large manufacturing companies to food suppliers, food manufacturers. So I was very honored, and also I think they selected me because of my energy efficiency ideas that I brought to our company, reduction in operational costs, and but certainly my community involvement was one thing that they really singled out as a person who cares about their community, but also cares about their industry. And I've also lobbied on behalf of the Nebraska Grocery Industry Association and the Food Marketing Institute and the National Grocers Association on a lot of issues that impact businesses, not only in my city of Lincoln, but in the state of Nebraska and certainly across the United States. So it's an honor, and I'm very proud to have received that.
We're very proud of you in this city and county, and so thank you very much for that. And what do you think of the proposed jail that was the bond that just went through a couple years ago, and then how is that going? That's the county commissioner's involvement.
Right, correct. The jail is another sort of sensitive issue that people have very strong feelings on, and actually when the bond issue was brought up to a vote, the citizens in Lancaster County and Lincoln voted against that bond issue, but the county commissioners went ahead, regardless of what the people in the county thought, and they went ahead to construct a jail. Now, I've read the feasibility study assessing 3 different locations for the jail, and I have to tell you, Mike Thurber, who is the director of the Lancaster County Jail, and his team of officers do a phenomenal job. They are outstanding in every way, and there is no doubt that there is absolutely overcrowding in the jail, because I did make a visit there. It was a tour. It was a guide. I wasn't in for any reason, but it was, you could see how the officers were doing a fabulous job with really tight situation. And we know that there are other locations that we can send the overflow to. Air Park is one of them. Also Columbus, Nebraska will take a few of the inmates. But the site that they chose, they could have easily, there were 3 alternatives, but they could have easily worked with the property that's right across the street to the south of the existing Lancaster County Administrative Building. that the county already owned. They already owned that ground, but they chose to build a brand new huge facility out on West O at considerable expense. Either way would have been a considerable expense to build either structure, but logistically, the one locating out on West O was not even projected the costs of transporting inmates to and from the county courthouse, which is in the existing county jail facility, so they still have to transport the inmates. The other challenging thing is, how do the inmates get to have time to discuss with their attorneys? How do they get to work with the prosecution? And it's logistically, it doesn't make sense. They didn't factor in the fuel, the staff, the personnel, the time. So that was, in my mind, a very inappropriate and not very well thought out selection. And again, it goes back to accountability and transparency. Their clear intent was to build a new facility way the heck out there that they had to purchase new ground for. I think you really, in a county commissioner, you need to look for someone who has a lot of really practical, down-to-earth, business-based decisions rather than being yanked apart. And I think accountability to taxpayers' dollars. They could have built the facility across the street right to the south on land they owned, or they could have rehabbed the existing jail facility a floor at a time to create a more operationally efficient space, or they could have done a combination of both, working with the existing jail structure. One of the feasibility studies, they said, that he needed a new heating and air conditioning system. That's pretty standard. If you manage, maintain, operate buildings, you're going to eventually have to replace your heating and air conditioning system, maybe 15 every 20 years. So that shouldn't have been an obstacle, and I think there was much more practical alternatives that they could have easily selected and actually brought savings to the taxpayer. And I think that's first and foremost. But I do commend the staff for dealing with the overcrowding that they're currently dealing with.
And it seems like the overcrowding issue, it's not going to be solved entirely by the new site, because the new jail will soon become overcrowded potentially also, and it's not. Is there the rehab potential for this new jail that they're going to be able to potentially rehab the prisoners at, or is that going to be
You mean in the new site on
the new
West O?
site, is that going to be a bigger problem?
Well, the new site is huge. I think it's about 30 acres, give or take an acre or two, and so it has room for tremendous expansion potential. But hopefully we're going to look for efficiencies in how we process inmates and so on, so that maybe we will not have to have the need for that, and maybe we can focus on more initiatives in the county that would bring maybe more efficient use of our taxpayer dollars.